As we celebrate the memory of Jim Calhoun, you'll hear from all of the lives that he's touched, all of the people he's worked alongside, as well as so many of the residents that he cared for over his 37 years here at Judson.
I fell in love with Jim when I started working Sundays here at Judson Manor. And what I so appreciated was the, I'm gonna call it old school, old fashioned presentation. He dressed for work. His uniform was just so, his smile was just so. What I say is, his presence and his memory was a blessing to us, and I hope it is for the family.
Mr. Calhoun was my mentor. He worked with me, guided me, led me, was a friend, was my comedian. Sometimes my shoulder to lean on in my bad days, uplifting me on the bad and the good. 2 years ago, I was with child, and he called me on the radio one morning and said, "Oh, Miss Shannon, there's something going on in the WIC room. You gotta get here." And I went to I said, "Oh boy, what happened now?" So I wobbled down to the WIC room, and he opened the door, and there was balloons and food and cake and gifts everywhere. And I cried like a baby. I turned and walked away from him, and he grabbed me and just hugged me. That was going above and beyond. Him and staff threw me a baby shower because they knew that I was not going to have a baby shower.
You always saw him out with the team, working with them side by side, hand in hand, and just really earning the respect of everybody here, both associates and residents. The joy and the happiness he always shared about his family and for his passion for Judson, and it has just been an absolute honor to have had the opportunity to know him.
Jim and I worked together for 20 years. All of those years were a joy. Jim was a man of incredible energy, incredible devotion. As a director of admissions and bringing people in, I think I had somebody coming in once who, they weren't coming in when he expected they were coming in, and he had to just absolutely rush to get the apartment ready. And he did this without recrimination. He did it just very gracefully, and he was always concerned about meeting a person's needs where they were. And I always appreciated that.
Altogether, Mr. Calhoun was a very, very, very nice person to me. I was glad that God had allowed him to come and connect and work with me. And he loved his family. He loved the park as his family. So altogether, he was a man of integrity, passion. I'm a miss him, but it's with good memories. And he was a good person. I'm dearly gonna miss him.
I always appreciated one thing that he did was he always called me Mrs. Mervar. Not that I needed to be called by my formal name, but he and his staff made it a habit to be on a more formal basis, and especially with the residents, which I really appreciated. So rather than calling him Jim, I tried to always remember to call him Mr. Calhoun, and I would smile. And I always appreciated that he really put the residents first. He trained his staff excellently. Jim led by example, and it was just a privilege to work with him.
Mr. C, from my experience, always has been a kind man, always dedicated to the job, to the people around him. All the residents just love. I don't think there is enough nice things to be said about him. Of all the years I've worked here, I never heard anything negative about Mr. C.
Everybody loved Jim. He was really the best of men. He treated every single person that he worked with the utmost respect. And I would go down often to his stand-up meetings. And the thing was, he wasn't just talking about this is what we need to do today, this is what's going to happen, he would be like rallying them and celebrating them. And he knew about their families, and he'd have birthday cakes. He went to bat for them more times than I can even count. He was so proud of his daughter. He would tell me about his daughter all the time, and his son-in-law. He was so proud of them.
And I remember the days when I worked at Judson Park, and I was about 18 or 19, and just the presence of Jim Calhoun. He was fair. He was all business. He knew his stuff. And he was open to suggestions. I tried to support him as much as I could, because to me, he was just more than just a colleague and a coworker. He was almost a father figure. And he was that for a lot of people. And he made a huge difference in a lot of people's lives and changed their lives as well. And it's hard for me, after 30 years, to not see him in the morning and just that presence of, no matter how bad the situation is, he would always see the light at the end of the tunnel to figure out a method, somehow, some way, and he was looking for positive feedback to get it done. And we can achieve anything as long as we communicate and we get it done together. That was Jim Calhoun.
When I think of Jim, the word that really comes to me is respectful, beginning with himself. You know, Jim really was the ultimate leader. He held himself to very high standards. There isn't anything he would ask somebody else to do that he would not do himself. And again, kind of the sense of roll your sleeves up, get the job done, open communication. So Jim had a very sensitive way of making sure that that feedback from his team really was put out there and put on the table, so that people benefited from his very analytical way of looking at what's going on and sort of saying, you guys might want to think about it this way. Boy, was Jim proud of his daughter. Oh my gosh. The pictures, and when that little grandchild came along, it was the apple of his eye. He loved his wife. Jim was a family man, and that came through loud and clear, that he was proud of his own family.
When I first met him, I could tell that he was a very good person and a very loving person, in which I actually wish I could have more time to spend with him and work with him. He was a nice man. He was a loving man. He cared. He loved working here. He cared for his employees like they were his own family.
And I learned about his family and how much he loved his wife and how much he loved his children. And then even the stories about going to Disney World with his grandkids and all the trips he did with them. He just adored his family. And I really appreciate the laughter we had. He loved dressing up at Halloween, which was one of his favorite things to do throughout the year. He'd come with his cape on and his boom box, and he was playing Thriller by Michael Jackson, and we would all just follow him and dance alongside him, and it just brought a lot of joy to the residents and to the associates.
He had a tie on, and he looked always so dapper in his blue jacket, and everything was a can-do. So I will tell you that anytime I was on tours and I introduced Mr. Calhoun, and he was, shaking the prospective residents' hands, asking them where they were from, explaining what he does, explaining what his team does, and the families and the prospective residents were really impressed with that, and it just really made the guests feel welcomed.
The power went out one time in Judson Park. Before I knew it, Mr. C's at the door, flashlight going. Here, Sean, here's some lights for you and your girl. You keep us safe, making sure we were safe, everything. Even before you even knew it, what you thought you needed, he would bring it to you. And, he's one step ahead. Always taking care of the clients, always taking care of everybody here. Just personable, beyond personable. And he just had a light that had emanated from him. Just positive vibe from day one.
It was incredible to grow up in an organization working alongside with someone who had such great leadership skills. I learned so much from him over the my 25 years starting from an intern and working alongside him as someone getting to know environmental services and getting to know how you care for people in all sorts of ways, not just on the clinical side, but how you can be with them in their apartments and really walk along their journeys with them. And his leadership and how to grow and develop people is something that I took to heart the entire time I worked alongside him here. He knew how to bring the best out of every single person on his team. His impact is seen today through the people who now are in roles that have grown into managerial roles. Even myself, who started as an intern and now CEO, and how much he impacted me. I can remember it was 2 years ago at our associate recognition. We had probably close to 30 associates who were over 20 years up on stage. And he decided, he was so much fun, and I said, hey Jim, why don't you break out in song? And so he started singing at the associate recognition, bringing every single person in the room, in this room, in fact, residents, associates, all singing together. And it was incredible. It was incredible how much he can just bring people together in celebration.
Mr. Calhoun is a respectable man. You respect him, just his aura. I love the way how he treats his staff. I like how he manages staff. I love the way that he treats them with respect. I love the way that he always acknowledges them by their last name. He don't call nobody by their first name. Everybody he acknowledged by their last name. So he showed them that respect, and in return, he gets that respect back from his staff.
Being in the sales and marketing team, we worked very closely with Jim and his team as we were bringing new residents in and having to get things ready for them. And he always did it with such grace and with such a smile. He just wanted to make sure that everything was the way it should be. You could just tell he did everything from his heart. And you just don't find that in people very often. And when you meet someone like that, it's a very special moment. When I scroll through the decades, it's Jim being here, Jim being there, with that impish smile on his face sometime, or teasing if we've asked him to do something and he'll say, no, I can't do that. And he'll go, of course I can. So it's just that moment of levity, even in the face of some kind of big issues that had to be taken care of quickly.
I've always admired him as a person, his character, his work ethic. He always went about his duties with great enthusiasm and cheer, and he led by example. In a group setting, he never shied away from participating, and he always spoke with great clarity, with depth, with wisdom, knowledge, and experience.
But the fun part about him is the picnics. He was Jimi Hendrix one year, and at Halloween he was the vampire with the cape, and he would move around and make the cape swing. He was just a lot of fun.
I hope you've enjoyed hearing the heartfelt stories from so many people who worked alongside him, who he cared for, and people who he's had impact on their lives. You can see, what Jim brought to Judson in every corner of the organization. And when I say impact, it's been truly a pleasure to work with him and learn from him over these many years. And Judson has been touched in so many ways by his life, and that's 37 years here at Judson.
I know this for sure, and I think you do too, that Jim is more alive now than he ever was when he lived on this earth. And that brings me a lot of comfort, and I hope that it brings you comfort too.
I would love to say something to the family. I just would like to obviously share my condolences. It was my honor and pleasure to get to know and work with Mr. Calhoun, or Mr. C, as we called him. Have a very deep respect for him, for what he has done with his life, his career.
To the Calhoun family, my sincerest condolences on such a great loss. He was always very proud of you. He always spoke with great fondness and love.
And to Jim, Mr. Calhoun, may you rest in eternal peace.
Yes, I want to say thank you so much for sharing him with Judson. I know that this was, like a child for him, dealing with Judson Manor, Judson Park, and he will forever be missed.
I would say to the family that I cared about him and that I loved working next to him every day, and that I will truly miss him. But he will be one of the people that was a part of my life that I will take with me on my journey, and those little juicy bits that he gave me will never leave.
It was an honor to know Jim Calhoun. He changed a lot of people's lives, and we hope that you stay strong and positive, and just know that he touched all of our lives and made a huge difference every day, and he will be missed.
We'll miss Jim. He gave us his all, and he was a privilege to work with, a privilege to get to know, and cherish your memories. What a man.
I just want you to know that Mr. C was dedicated to his job and the people that he worked with. He cared about everything and everyone, residents, co-workers, everybody, visitors. He made sure things were in proper order. And he will truly, truly be missed.
We all feel for you. So thank you for sharing him with all of us and all the residents, most importantly. I just pray that you will be comforted and comforted by the fact that he was an outstanding man.
For his family, I'm very grateful that they've shared him with us for all these years. I'm thankful to God that God shared him with us for all these years. I think we're all better people for having known him and been around him.
To the family, Mrs. Calhoun, Shannon, Julian, and Princess, as Mr. Calhoun always called his granddaughter, thank you for sharing him with us.
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for sharing him with us. He was a kind, loving man to us. So just thank you.
Jim treasured his family time. Every summer, his grandchildren would come in for a few weeks, and him and his wife just, I know, beamed with joy having them here while his daughter had some time away. And they would do all kinds of fun excursions together. But he enjoyed every summer. He had so many memories, came back with so many pictures to share with all of us.
I'm very sorry for your loss. And he was so proud of his grandchildren. He talked about them often. And I know you all are going to miss him, and I'm very sorry, especially at this time of year. My condolences to you all.
I'm just so sorry for your loss and just the world's loss of him, because he's such a good guy. He was such a great guy.
And so to the family, I just say thank you as best I can for sharing Jim with us for so long and being such an inspiration to the generations of new associates that have come online to see what can be when you make a career at Judson and make it your life's mission.